Hello, this video clip is about a concept called biofortification. I believe that the quickest way for you to understand this concept is to take a look at this graphic. Traditionally, in the United States, we have fortified a lot of foods, but we typically do that in the processing part of agriculture. And so, if you look at the very bottom of this infographic, you can see that milk is one of the things that we have traditionally fortified to contain vitamin D. This has been done for a long time in order to improve the health of children. But biofortification does the same thing as traditional fortification at a little bit different level because the fortification occurs either through selective breeding or through gene modification. Selective breeding means that plants with certain characteristics are used more often and begin to be more of the population. And genetic modification simply means that we change the genome of the plants to have certain characteristics. So, the use of technology and science is helping us to make agriculture more effective and more efficient by incorporating biofortification when possible. If you look biofortification up in the dictionary, it defines it as adding crucial nutrients to food biologically by breeding better varieties of crops that poor people already eat. And that's kind of an interesting definition to use because we learn through research that biofortification does have a greater effect on people who live with food insecurity day in and day out, meaning they don't always know where their next meal is coming from. By taking a look at the foods that people already eat and making them more nutritious, we can begin to address part of the nutritional problems that cause the cycle of poverty to happen. I would encourage you to follow this YouTube video link and watch it. It's put on by a group called Harvest Plus, which is actively engaged in biofortifying and spreading foods to countries who need them the most. Here's kind of a graphic that shows you which foods this is currently being done to. And what scientists have done is they've gone to areas where they struggle to have enough food diversity to keep people healthy and taken the foods that they can naturally grow in that climate and geography and then fortified them to help the people. You're going to read an article, or perhaps you already did today, about the use of sweet potatoes in the African culture as a dietary supplement to provide vitamin A. But we also see vitamin A being supplemented in cassava, maize, bananas. We see zinc and iron being added in a whole bunch of different crops like cowpeas or Irish potatoes or sorghum, even lentils. And then we see in both wheat and rice having them be fortified with zinc to help different populations. These again are crops that cultures were already actively eating as some of their staple foods, and they're just being improved to help the nutrition of people. In order for us to understand why this is even an important concept, we need to understand that much of the world gets enough calories by number, but they are not the right calories for people to be healthy. And if a person does not receive the right nutrients, their brain, which is a muscle, obviously can't grow and develop at the same rate or pace which other peoples can who have the appropriate nutrients in their diet. So, this concept of hidden hunger is really tricky because, at first glance, there are some cultures and communities and tribes all over the world who appear to have enough food but do not have the right food to have enough iron or vitamin A or zinc or calcium in their diet. And so it's very important for us to look at not only the nutrition available, but the amount of calories available, and to consider those in the ways that they help human beings. Malnutrition can also bring us to study something called a food desert. And I would encourage you to look this up. A food desert explores the idea that there are some places where fresh and nutritious foods are less available than others. And ironically, these don't always correspond with places that have small populations. Sometimes urban centers can be food deserts, just based off the groceries and what's available in terms of stores and fresh fruit outlets, fruit and vegetable outlets. And then finally, it's worth us exploring this idea that food can be medicine when we begin to look at malnutrition. There are some health issues that human beings have that require things like antibiotics or vaccines, that are complex medicines. However, there are others which can be solved by nutrition improvements. And that's the piece where agriculture has a great effect. Now, all of these topics that I covered in this very short video are all things that bear your further exploration and research. I would encourage you to look at a variety of sources of each of those and learn about the history of the ways that we have tried to help other cultures become more nutritious. Sometimes we do things that help them, and sometimes, even then, when our intentions are good, our actions don't actually help them. So it's very important to understand the science and the science of their culture or the things that are important to them. Have a great day.